Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Dark Paladin test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because you guys have been requesting this one like crazy for me to actually do some Dark Paladin test hands. Ever since the first time I actually profiled this deck, you guys have been requesting it, and I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys because I think I finally perfected the deck to be able to get it to the maximum consistency that you're going to be able to do to summon out your copy of Dark Paladin. So I'm really excited to bring this to you guys, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight on into this. So this is a very interesting deck that can basically summon some really powerful monsters and play some of the most nostalgic monsters in the entire game in the form of Dark Magician, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and even Buster Blader, which is really cool. If you guys want to check out the deck profile, it is down in the description as well for the most current build of this particular deck. And I'm really excited to show you guys, or the build that was used in this particular video. And I am really actually excited for this one because you guys did request this one like crazy. I just had to kind of perfect it a little bit more to get it right where I wanted it before I actually did test hands of it. And I think that I finally got the deck exactly where I wanted it, because right after I profiled it the first time, Buster Dragon of the Destruction Sword actually got hit on the list. And so I kind of was like, well, there went the test hands for that, which is kind of unfortunate. But now that it's back, I can finally go ahead and profile this one for you guys and do some test hands of it. And I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the first test hand. There's usually the only time you break in this deck is if you draw multiples of vanillas and you don't have a polymerization. But that's the only time that this deck ever breaks. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we got a copy of Fusion Deployment, a second copy of Fusion Deployment, a third copy of Fusion Deployment, a Destruction Sword Memories, and a copy of Red Eyes Fusion. Okay. Everybody saw that. I pile shuffled, I shuffled the deck, and I still draw all three? What? But we still have plays. It's fine. You can go ahead and activate the copy of Red Eyes Fusion. It's going to get you exactly what you need in the graveyard, which is totally fine to be able to grab. If I would have seen both copies of Magician Souls right there, or all three, that would have been insane. So let's go ahead and use Red Eyes Fusion and go ahead and send over from our deck to the graveyard the copy of Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, and see what we can actually do with this particular hand. Now we're only going into fusion monsters, but since we activated the Red Eyes Fusion, it is going to lock us in to just summoning the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is fine for an opening play because you're trying to get your setup for this particular deck anyways. We're going to go ahead and set our copy of Destruction Sword Memories, and I would just pass like that. Yes, I'm holding 3 copies of Fusion Deployment, but that's fine because I have a discard in my hand if I need it. I can discard this to the graveyard if I want to. I don't have a Destruction Sword card, but if I draw into one, I can discard one to get a Buster Blader on my field, which is fine. And I have the copies of Fusion Deployment to get a Buster Blader on my side of the field during the next turn, so I have a lot of different utility with this hand. So if I go ahead and pass, I'm going to go ahead and say that I do negate something with the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and then I'm going to draw into my next turn, which is a Dark Magician. Now, if I go ahead and use the copy of Fusion Deployment, I can reveal the copy of the Dark Paladin in my extra deck and go ahead and special summon out the copy of Buster Blader. Now, if I just draw into a copy of a Polymerization, a Beast King of the Swamps, or a Magical Eyes Fusion in my next turn, I will be totally fine to special summon out a Dark Paladin. So, once we go ahead and pass again, you're going to try and attack your opponent with this field, and you draw for the next turn. You draw into Magician Souls, which is going to get you a little bit more utility. If you didn't set this card, you could special summon out your copy of your Dark or Magician Souls. This is turn 5 though, keep in mind. And then once you summon out that copy of the Magician Souls, you're going to be able to send from the deck to the graveyard your copy of Dark Magician. Now go ahead and shuffle that deck up really quick and then use its effect to be able to draw 2. You can use that effect to draw 2 by discarding the Fusion Deployment and the copy of the Destruction Sword Memories, and then you draw 2 off the top of the deck, which is going to be a copy of Buster Whelp and a copy of Trap Trick. Now we're okay, because now we can normal summon out the copy of the Buster Whelp. The Buster Whelp will search a Dragon Destruction Sword card, which is a copy of our Destruction Swordsman Fusion, which gets us into our copy of our Dark Paladin. Because now you can use this on our side of the field and use both of these to go directly into your copy of your Dark Paladin, and you have the copy of Trap Trick set up as well, and then you can link these two away and go directly into a copy of Anaconda. Now you can use Anaconda's effect to pay the 2,000 if you want to. You could keep this in your hand to give you an additional negation if you wanted to. Use the copy of Magical Eyes Fusion in the graveyard to be able to fusion summon into a copy of your second Dark Paladin. So as you can see, when you don't draw 3 of, you're okay to summon double Dark Paladin. It's pretty easy if you do summon, or if you draw 2 monsters that you can normal summon with a polymerization and maybe a fusion deployment. It's pretty easy to go off into those plays to summon out your copy of Dark Paladin as quickly as possible. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand, because like I just showed you guys, it's not too hard to get a play off. Even when you kind of draw into 3 fusion deployments, you still have plays in this deck. Like, it still gives you a lot of plays, because we did have the copy of the Magician's Souls, we had the copy of our Dark Magician that we drew into our hand, and we had a lot of different advantage that we could go for in that particular opening hand. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck up again and see what we can do for this next one. I've never in a test hand drawn a 3 of all 3 of them. I think that's the first time in all the test hands that I've done that's happened. If it's ever happened before and you guys have seen it, definitely comment down below and tell me when it happened. So let's go ahead and draw Fusion Deployment. Oh god. Fusion Deployment, Keeper of Dragon Magic, Magicalized Fusion, Magician's Souls, and a copy of Polymerization. Okay, this is a very interesting hand. I like this hand a lot because there's a lot of different plays that you can go for with this one hand. So what we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to use our copy of Fusion Deployment, and I'm going to reveal the copy of my Dark Paladin in my extra deck. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to special summon out a copy of my Dark Paladin is going to special summon out my copy of Buster Blader. So Buster Blader is going to summon to my side of the field, and keep in mind, if you're going second, you're going to have an extra card in your hand, and usually you can go second or go first. It doesn't super matter in this deck. Then I'm going to use my copy of my Magician's Souls in my hand and special summon it to my side of the field to be able to grab a copy of Dark Magician. Now you can just go ahead and normal summon out that copy of, or special summon out the Dark Magician instead of special summoning out the Magician's Souls, because you're not going to want to use the cards in your main hand to be able to go for the Dark Paladin or go for the Magician's Souls effect. So now that we've got this on our side of the field, you know what time it is. We have a polymerization. We can immediately fusion summon these 2 together and summon out our Dark Paladin. See, it's that easy to summon Dark Paladin in this particular deck. You even have the Magical Eyes Fusion that can go off into an additional copy of Dark Paladin if you want to summon a second copy to get that extra added advantage that you might particularly need on your side of the field. So you have double Dark Paladin with that hand and a normal summon of your Keeper of Dragon Magic if you want it, to be able to grab a copy of one of your monsters out of the graveyard instead of fusion summoning. Keep this in your hand to negate spells. If you pass your opponent's turn, you're going to draw into another copy of Keeper. Go ahead and normal summon that Keeper. Discard a Keeper to grab a copy of Polymerization from your deck to your hand, which is going to be pretty good. Or you can activate the effect of this card to be able to grab a copy of a Polymerization or a Fusion normal spell from your deck to your hand, which can grab you a copy of your Fusion Deployment, which would be a little bit different to get you a little bit more card advantage on your side of the field, because then you can activate the copy of Fusion Deployment and be able to reveal a copy of the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, and be able to special summon out another copy of Buster Blader. So you have more advantage just right there to get another copy of Buster Blader on your side of the field, which is just really, really nice. And that is only in the first 2 turns that you've gotten this really nice field. You could have kept it like this and just kept the double Dark Paladin, depending on what your opponent had. But you can summon some really amazing plays in this deck to get double Dark Paladin, which is the whole point of the deck, which is what's really amazing about this build. You will summon Dragoons a lot, but it is a lot of summoning Dark Paladin to your side of the field with the Dragoons and just passing against your opponent, which is what's really cool to be able to get them both out at the same time. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck up again and see what we can pull off. Hopefully we don't draw another copy of Fusion Deployment all over again, but let's see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of the Dragon Buster, a copy of Destruction Sword, King of the Swamp, Buster Blader, and a copy of King of the Swamp. So you have the play all over again to be able to go into your really amazing plays, which is going to be, you can discard this copy of King of the Swamp and grab a poly from deck to hand, and then immediately activate the copy of the Destruction Swordsman Fusion to go into your copy of your Dark Paladin, which is going to be really, really nice by going in with your copy of your King of the Swamp and summon it out again. And then you have a negate in hand with the copy of the Dragon Destroyer sword, which is pretty nice as well. Or you can normal summon this card to your side of the field and be able to go in for an additional play if you want to for a Link Rebo to prevent your opponent from attacking. Also has the ability you can target a Buster Blade you control and equip this card from your hand or field to it, but this isn't a Buster Blader, which is a little unfortunate. But if we draw into the next turn, we're going to draw into the copy of Trap Trick, which is going to get us to a Buster Blader, because now we're going to pass against our opponent, and we're going to go ahead and activate that copy of Trap Trick. Now, this is where it gets interesting, where you're going into where you're more leaning towards your Buster Blader package, where you get the Dark Paladin on your side of the field. So you're going to grab that copy of Prologue, and you're going to grab another copy of Prologue and banish it. And once you banish that second copy of Prologue, you're going to get the effect to be able to activate one trap for the rest of the turn. So you can then activate this copy of your Prologue, because it was set by a copy of Trap Trick to your side of the field. You can then use its ability to send a copy of a Buster Blader monster and a copy of Destruction Sword card, which is your Destruction Sword Memories, and a copy of Buster Blader from your deck to the graveyard to be able to immediately special summon to your side of the field your copy of your dragon, or your Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. Now, once it goes to the graveyard, you then have the negation if you want to with your copy of Dark Paladin to stop a spell card, so you can hit them with that as well. Then you can also, during your opponent's turn, use your copy of your Destruction Sword Memories to be able to go into your copy of your, this would special summon out the Buster Dragon, Backtrack a little bit, guys. This would give you the Buster Dragon. I always get those two mixed up for some reason. But the copy of the Destruction Sword Memories now will give you the ability to banish a copy from your graveyard fusion materials that's listed on a Buster Blader monster, so you can banish your copy of your Destruction Sword Memories and your copy of your Buster Blader and a King of the Swamp, because it does count as a material, because you can substitute for the fusion material of a fusion monster, but the other materials have to be correct. You can banish that card from the graveyard to be able to grab a copy of now the Dragon Buster, the Destruction Swordsman, and you can use the effect of your copy of your Buster Dragon to target one Buster Blader control and equip one Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard, and it's a quick effect to be able to immediately equip this to it to lock your opponent out of the extra deck, which is really nice. But you had to discard it from your hand for a negation of Dark Paladin when they activate a spell, which usually when you're playing against somebody, the first card out of their hand is going to be a spell card anyways. So, as you can see, that basically gets you into a Dark Paladin instead of going for your Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, which is kind of cool. And this deck can even stay alive even if they ban Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, which is kind of neat for this particular build, because you just drop out the Red Eyes Black Dragon and the copy of your Red Eyes Fusion in the deck to be able to kind of play around it. It would carry it to a 40 card deck, because the deck I believe is 42 right now, so you can drop those out and it would still, the deck would still work. It wouldn't have as much potency without that, but it would still work to be able to summon out Dark Paladin, which is what's really not the main focus of this particular deck. So let's go ahead and do at least one more test hand just to show you guys what we can do with this particular deck. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck really quick, hopefully not draw 3 fusion deployments. And we're going to draw into a Red Eyes Black Dragon, Magician's Soul, a copy of Apprentice Illusion Magician, a copy of Keeper Dragon Magic, and another Apprentice or Keeper or Magician's Soul, which is not that big a deal to actually draw into doubles of this, because you can use its ability to get it out on your side of the field. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out our copy of our Dark Magician to our field, because it's not going to be that big of a deal just immediately to summon that card instead of summoning out the Keeper of Dragon Magic. You can actually do this a little bit differently if you want to, and send this to the graveyard and summon this to your side of the field. But keep in mind, if you use your copy of your Keeper, you can only go for your fusion monsters for the rest of the turn. So we're going to go ahead and you can normal summon out your copy of your, you can even do this a little bit differently if you want to. You can go ahead and discard this to the graveyard to special summon out your copy of your Apprentice to be able to then use your copy of Magical Eyes Fusion with your copy of your with your copy of the Anaconda in the extra deck. So we're going to go ahead and add a copy of Dark Magician from our deck to our hand. And I'm not even going to shuffle the deck because I'm actually going to do that play and go ahead and link summon these two together and summon out a copy of Anaconda. So once you summon out that Anaconda, you can then use its effect with the copy of Magical Eyes Fusion to be able to banish from the graveyard those two monsters to be able to special summon out a copy of your, where is it? Dragoons. Dragoons is really nice in this deck because it's going to give you that first turn negation, which is what's really nice about this particular build, and it just helps out the deck a lot because next turn you're going to be able to go in for your really good play. So once you pass turn, if your opponent tries to stop you, you can go ahead and discard the Dark Magician from your hand to the graveyard if you want to, or you can discard the copy of Magician's Souls from your hand to the graveyard. I would probably discard the Dark Magician because you're not going to super need it. And then once you pass for turn, you're going to go ahead and draw into a fusion deployment, which is totally fine. That's actually really good because now you're going to activate the fusion deployment, reveal Dark Paladin, and then special summon from the deck a copy of Buster Blader. So this deck just comes like when you need something, it comes to your hand, which is really, really nice to be able to grab it. And the heart of the cards really is with you with this deck, which is what's really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Keeper. Keeper's effect will go off, and I can just immediately ditch the copy of my Magician's Souls to be able to grab a copy of Polymerization from my deck to my hand, which you're gonna look at this field and go, wait, how are you gonna get Dark Paladin? Well, I'll show you. You can actually go ahead and use your copy of Keeper of Dragon Magic, reveal Dark Paladin again, and then use its effect to be able to special summon back your Dark Magician in face down defense, activate Poly, and then send both of these to the graveyard to special summon out your copy of Dark Paladin. Now, if they didn't take out the copy of Anaconda, you could use Anaconda's effect to be able to send a card from the deck to the graveyard to resolve the effect of a monster, or the effect of a fusion spell, which is pretty good to be able to do. You can send fusion deployment if you want. Well, you can't send fusion deployment because you already resolved it. And most likely they're probably going to destroy your copy of your Anaconda because they just don't want to deal with it. That is a high probability that they're going to go ahead and get rid of it. And it just isn't super needed in this situation. So you can go ahead and attack with the copy of Dragoons, pop 2 cards, attack with the copy of your Keeper, and attack with the Paladin and this. So you have a lot of different advantage with this particular field just to be able to destroy a lot of stuff. And you got both of the retrains of Dark Paladin on your side of the field, from the old school to the new Keeper, or the new Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So let's go ahead and do one more just to show you guys how consistent this deck is. It's amazing to me how consistent this deck is to summon out Dragoons and Dark Paladin, which is the main focus of this particular build. And whether you like Dragoons or not, it is a good deck and really fun and really nostalgic to be able to summon them both to your side of the field. Like, I love playing this deck just to be able to summon them both to my side of the field and just OTK my opponent with both of those really amazing monsters. So let's go ahead and shuffle it up really quick and see what we can do with one last test hand, see if we can pull anything off, or show you guys what it looks like if the deck breaks. So let's go ahead and see. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a King of the Swamp, a copy of Magical Eyes Fusion, Buster, the Destruction Sword Memories, Buster Whelp, and a copy of Dark Magician. So this is not bad. Actually not bad at all, because you can use your copy of your Buster Whelp to be able to grab a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, which is going to always be your copy of your Destruction Sword Prologue. You're going to go ahead and use your copy of your Magical Eyes Fusion in the graveyard to be or not your Magical Eyes Fusion, but your King of the Swamp, to be able to grab a copy of Poly from your deck to your hand, just to get it out of the field. And then you can go ahead and do some really simplistic stuff by setting this card on your side of the field, and then using your copy of, I don't think you can actually use the Buster Whelp because I think it has to be a dragon. No, it has to be a dragon effect monster. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you can use your copy of Poly here and then Synchro, or not Synchro, but fusion summon these away to summon this to your side of the field. And it gets you out your first copy of your Dragoons. And then if you want to, since you used a copy of your Dark Magician in the graveyard, if you really want to, you can use Magical Eyes Fusion and then be able to go in for a second copy of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. You can summon out both copies with this particular field, and yeah, that's pretty insane with a negation in hand. And then if you pass turn, you can lock your opponent down by using the copy of the Prologue to be able to send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of Buster Blader and the Fusion spell, and you're already set up in the graveyard with a dragon monster with the Buster Whelp. which is what's really, really good to be able to just immediately go for that card. Now, you do need a copy of the Destruction Swordsman and Memories to send to the graveyard as well to be able to get that play off, which is right there. Send those two to the graveyard. Get the Buster Dragon, not the Buster Blader, because I got that mixed up last time. Summon out that to your side of the field. And then immediately use in the graveyard your copy of the Destruction Sword Memories, and do it the way that you're supposed to, and fusion summon out the copy of Buster Blader with the copy of Buster Whelp, just like that, and summon out your copy of the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, and then you have a spell or trap negation in the form of your Destruction Swordsman Memories. And at this point, if your opponent hasn't already scooped, they probably will. And if you draw for turn, you're going to draw into a Poly, which gives you an additional negation, which is really cool with your copy of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. So yeah, that's pretty insane to be able to just do it that simply to get both of them out on your side of the field. Now, you didn't summon Dark Paladin that hand, but sometimes, not every game you're going to do it. But the majority of the time, out of all the test hands that we did, we summoned the Dark Paladin the majority of the time. So it's a really fun deck to play with. I highly recommend that you guys have not played with Dark Paladin before. You definitely should, because it's a fun deck. Like, I really love the way that the deck plays. I think it's really simplistic in the way that it plays. If you've played a Dark Magician deck and you play Buster Blader, you basically take both those decks and fuse them together, ironically enough, and it makes this deck, which is what's really neat. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.